$100 for one like mine.
And we own your soul.
Only small, and she couldn't get the big. She could, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do? You can." And she goes, "Let's just." So she got one like mine, only smaller, but it's a S24.
So I thought of you because
Are we live right now?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
But it's fine. I thought of you because I've had an upgrade for 2 years, and we talked about it last year about me, and then I went, "My phone's fine though. Why do I need an upgrade?"
so when we were in there, she goes, "Well, do you want? You can." I said, "I like mine. Why would I want it?" It's something I thought of. I told you when I came up here, I'm with my family now. I have the job I like, and blah blah. And then a few months later, it's like, well, but then I was reminded the University of Connecticut basketball coach was offered the Lakers job.
Hi, Coach Bob.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're already talking.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Was offered the Lakers job.
Mhm.
Now, he grew up in Connecticut. Family grew up there. They've lived there forever. He's very successful, makes millions of dollars. But they offered him the Lakers job now. Your Connecticut's up here and Lakers are down here, and it's totally different. And his quote was, "No. Why would I try to be happier that I'm happy right now?" And I was like, well, there's a statement,
Yeah, but also like money'd be nice.
But if you're making millions,
I thought so.
did you? You can tighten that, can't you?
I did already.
Oh,
It was just for me pushing play. It was just off a little bit. Anyway, it just looked like way towards you.
so that kind of stuck in my head. Why should I try to be happier? He's got millions of dollars. I mean, money's not an object anymore. And you're moving to LA, which is probably sucks compared to Connecticut. So, anywho, my subject today.
Wait, this is what's in the box.
What's
Normally
in the
with
box?
Zach and Cheryl. By the way, did you see the last one? I displayed your
I did.
thingy.
Did you like it?
I do like it. I like it, but it's. I'm still figuring out the framing of it because the sheet that I had before was like specifically the full thing, and it's a little shorter. But.
Well, maybe you have to just get a little tighter and get more intimate.
I was thinking about it. I just wanted to show the whole thing. I don't need to show the whole thing every time, but yeah, I like it. It's nice.
I got a subject.
You have a subject.
I do.
Okay.
Well, I have several that I just scrolled through, but one of them stuck out.
I wore my hat for nothing.
Food.
That has nothing to do with my hat.
What was the hat supposed to be for?
Freedom.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
No, we can talk about food. Go ahead.
Food.
Yeah. What about it?
So here's my thing with food, and this can be probably too long of a segment. So back in the day, there's so many angles to play this, but back in the day, I'm talking 50s, 60s, people ate meat and potatoes and vegetables, carrots or whatever. And you didn't hear cancer this, cancer this, cancer this, cancer this. Now your mom has said too, well, that might be in part
because nobody talked about the problems?
Because nobody said the word cancer.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the C word, So that might be part of it. But the other part is the processing of food, and Ra has taught me this kind of too, is we could say hi if they look over here.
I don't want
she
to
said
say
hi
hi.
the other day.
Why do I have to say
your dog? I like your dog. Your dog.
I like your dog.
He's comfy. Oh, he found something to eat. The processing of the food is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, Rob became a vegan, of which he falls off the wagon occasionally, which makes me laugh. I had a good steak the other day.
You just can't do it, can you?
But I mean, he's probably 98%, but still. But he taught me a lot about processes and the crap that goes in your food now. And so the angle to this is, as we progress in life, as I've said before, it's very difficult to have a one-person breadwinner in the family.
Mhm.
You really have to have two. And in doing so, you don't have a housewife or a house husband who sits at home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and says, okay, I'll start making dinner for my husband or wife that's coming home at 5 or 6. That doesn't happen.
Or
Hey.
has the time to have, well, most.
Not only shopping too.
I was going to say a garden. I've said that to Cheryl. 9 times out of 10, you had families that had obviously not farmers. Farmers had their own fields and everything, but most houses had like a little garden or whatever that had like tomatoes.
Yeah.
Some shit, where you don't have that now because people don't, for the most part. I mean, there are still people that garden, but for the most part, you don't got time to do anything with it.
So there lies in the problem now is you have kids now, and now you got to pick the kids up, and that's and take them to baseball or soccer or something, And so now you're so limited in the amount of time that you can actually cook and prepare a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Now comes along fast food. And fast food is extremely convenient. We'll just run through a drive-through, throw some food at you, and doubtfully we'll sit at the kitchen table and eat. And you get into a mindset of, okay, this is how my life is going to work now.
Mm-hmm.
We went from back here to this, and now I have to slam in all these things to make my life work.
I'd even comment on the fast food thing that it's I don't know how it's burned in your head. There's a word I want to use, but I can't think of it right now. But that when fast food first came out, now I grew up in a time where I've always had fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Always. You didn't.
I kind of did, but
for the most part.
Yeah.
But parents like your parents, you going into me, it was cheap. It was cheaper.
Yep.
You could get a whole family, 2-3 burgers from McDonald's for under $30.
Don't get me started on bait and switch.
You could get 4 pizzas for $10. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It was all convenient and it was cheaper than going and buying $200 worth of groceries or whatever. Now more, but we're so accustomed to that it's cheaper mindset that now that it's not cheaper, now that it is about the same price as if you were to get your own groceries or whatever, we're still feeding that mentality of, well, it's faster. I know it's $50 at McDonald's to get my family food where normally it was $30, but if I don't spend that $50 and I gotta go to the grocery store, I gotta spend that $50, I gotta prepare that.
Gas money.
You know what? I know it's more expensive, but it's better. It's easier.
The convenience of it all.
When really it's, if you, and I've said this, it's all about routine. You can fit things into your lifestyle no matter how hectic it is if you figure it out and find it and create a different mindset for those things.
It's the glass jar. You're throwing rocks in or sand in or pebbles in, and it's how you throw to make them all fit.
Yep. And
water.
And if you go, you know what? Normally we spend, say, $400, $500 going out to eat. We'll cut that in half. $350 will go buy groceries. So we'll cook half, go out to eat half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have that in your mindset of, I'm spending this amount of money on stuff that I have to make at home or else it goes bad for the most part, it forces your brain to be like, oh, I got to make that, or oh, I got to make that.
Mm-hmm.
In most things, you can make most meals, even for a family. I'd say a family of 5, but because I cook in big scale, but you can find things to make that doesn't take very long. I probably, to your credit and to Tiffany's credit, I know how to throw things together and
Mhm.
make it taste good on a big scale.
Mhm.
I know how to, make casseroles and shit like that out of just random shit.
Mhm.
So then when I
Throw
have
some cheese on it.
Yeah,
throw it-
so when I have the ability to buy my own stuff, like it's a lot easier for me. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and 9 times out of 10, especially those casserole things or whatever,
Mhm.
they last 2-3 days. So you're spending $50 on something that lasts 2 days rather than $50 that lasts an hour.
So your $50 drive-through just went down to maybe $25 a day or less. That's half
Mm-hmm.
than what you were spending for the convenience.
And it's the same as as housework. I would assume.
Housework.
No, it's just I'm not saying I'm the greatest at it because I'm not, and neither is Cheryl. But I think we need to, as people, we need to get back to it's a mindset. It's not I can't. It's I don't want to.
I'm too lazy.
There's a well, I don't even think necessarily that.
It is.
Somebody. I don't think. Well, yes, but so many people now, and I'm not saying that it's not a thing because I know a lot of people, but so many people now want to hide behind whatever their anxiety or depression or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that that's not a thing, but there are ways to curb that mindset. Yes, you can have depression and not want to get out of your room or whatever and sleep all day and nothing around the house gets done. But you can also, like I've told Cheryl, you can also do little things. Like, yeah, you don't want to do anything in your house is a mess, but you can pick up 2 pairs of socks and put them in the hamper or clean out 1 cup or something. You can do small things.
Morning.
And then
Puppy.
when you're out of that, time frame or whatever, you can be like, okay. And the anxiety thing, most people get overwhelmed with the amount of things.
Yeah.
And that's
Or if you took small chunks.
and Cheryl does that too. She'll get in a mode where she doesn't clean or she's just focused on Wyatt or whatever, and the house will be a mess. And then because of all the dishes or because Wyatt's room is filled with toys, or she'll get overwhelmed, and then her brain will shut down, so she physically can't.
I think that's common, though. I think that's common in a lot of people.
But that's what I'm saying. But there are ways around that too.
Yeah, there is.
Instead of thinking of it as a
big house,
think of it as
the dishes.
Yeah, I can do, or even smaller
just
than
today.
I was gonna say, or even smaller than that. I'll pick up the towels or
wipe off the table,
or wipe off the table or something, just to get your brain that it's not as scary.
And a lot of times, if you do that, by the way, we're off subject of food.
I know. Sorry,
but a lot of times, if you do that, then your brain will continue and say, "Okay, I've wiped off the table, and that wasn't that bad. So let's go do the dishes now." And I'm getting a little tired, but I still got time to wipe out the microwave and. Okay, now I'll sit down. Man, you accomplished 3 things that you thought couldn't accomplish at all.
But I said that point because I was going to the food thing. But I feel like that, and that's kind of what I was saying about the convenience of processed and fast food, is that people see it as a larger thing than it is. There are people that spend $400 or $500 on groceries and don't use half of it.
Yeah,
because they go, this is a good idea, and they go, I want to eat this, 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 and they fill their house with groceries, and then time comes to cook, and they go, oh, but if I do that, I gotta make this.
I'll just run over to McDonald's and grab something real quick.
Yeah,
and then to further your point, you're probably going to is, and then half of those go bad because you didn't use them. You got fresh fruit out there. You got fresh vegetables out there. And now they're getting nasty because you didn't use them in time. That's my only issue that I play with occasionally is I've gotten a lot better, but I tell your mom, I go, okay, this is what I don't really want that. We're having that for dinner because I got to use it up before it goes bad, And it becomes a not a wasting money
Yeah.
to me, anyways.
But also, what I was gonna, me and Cheryl have talked about this many times, and I'm sure Raw has given you actual like data on this. But the thing is that with us being so accustomed to the convenience of fast food, even people that control prices of food know that. Whereas if you choose to eat healthy or better, or even vegan for that matter, the prices of that stuff is 10 times the amount of like normal food that you could make or eat.
Yeah, but again, I'll go back to at what cost? Because if you're eating processed food and now you've been given the information that this is highly cancerous, and it is,
But if you
the carcinogen.
in a separate example, if you live up in a poor neighborhood all the time, and somebody says, "Well, you could go to college and you can get out of that poor neighborhood, but you don't have the ability to pay for college." Yes, that's a good thing that'll make your life better, but you don't have the ability to go down that road. The same as if there's a family that can barely make rent as it is, they don't have the income to buy the quote healthy version of their food. They have the money to buy Pop-Tarts and shit like that. Like,
but then again,
I think
now you're sacrificing your long-term health.
But
it becomes like right here, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It is wrong, but I mean, but I get I can't do that. I can't afford this.
I think there needs to be an equilibrium of sorts with food. I think if we, especially the fact that it's widely known, it's not a secret anymore that processed food is bad. We lived as a country in blissful ignorance for a long time of it's not really that bad. And now that we know that it is as a whole country, I think that there should be an equality of sorts with that. Of here's your option. You know, it's not Kevin Hart made or funded a burger place. It's all vegan, all plant-based. And they asked him why, and he said, because I've tried this, this diet, so to speak, and all of them taste like shit. He's like, they don't taste better than a normal burger, even though they tell you that.
Not what the ads say.
And he's like, and I just wanted an option. He's like, I don't care if anybody doesn't eat like plant-based burgers or anything like that. He wanted an option that was just as affordable as normal as Burger King or like things like that. So he made it. And that's all it is just plant-based things. That is what I'm saying. I feel like if we as a country are going to be like, you should be healthier or we shouldn't be eating this or blah, 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 whatever, then you need to have real options, because you can say, well, I want our country to be healthy. But if you're putting healthy food up here and McDonald's down here, even though McDonald's is also expensive, putting it down here, you're not making it.
You're gravitating to the lowest common.
Yeah, you're not looking out for
the people.
For most people, you're looking out for a small demographic that can pay you this money, and you're making overhead and you're making money off of this, because if you set it up here, there's only a limited amount of people that are going to be able to buy this.
So the rich will live longer.
It's the same as construction in a city, and they skip the projects. It keeps that there.
Yep.
And the rest looks nice.
Yeah, the issue with me is, I'm a hypocrite too, but I noticed a long time ago, with my cancer issues and stuff, and you start digging into stuff of why and why and why, and I could be way off base. I don't think I am, that processed food is the issue, because as I started this office way back when, you didn't have processed food and you didn't hear, there wasn't publicity maybe, and that might be part of it too, but you didn't hear. But now when we're starting to put all kinds of hormones and stuff in our cows, and it trickles down to you eating a steak or a burger or whatever, not to mention it's compounded when a company like McDonald's or Burger King takes that meat and then processes it further. But all they can think about is, we're making money and we're right here too, and we're not thinking about your health.
No.
We're thinking about, we need to make money for this company, for our shareholders.
I can't remember if it's a week or a month. I know it's a short amount of time, but I heard a statistic that most Americans eat a credit card worth of microplastic. And I can't remember if it's a week or a month. I know it's not a year. It's either a week or a month, because of processed foods and shit that we put in there. And you think, oh, that's not really that. And I have.
I've ate my credit cards before.
No. I'm like, I've had the thought of, oh, that's not really that much. But you go even a month, I think it's a week. I could be wrong. But even if it's a month, credit card, oh, that's not really that bad. Stack another one on there. That's worse. But then stack 12 credit cards on top of each other, and that's what's in your body every single year.
Yep.
But like I said, it's the same ideology, and I know that you don't understand this, but it's the same ideology as smoking and knowing smoking's bad for you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, I'm already doing it, so is it really that big a deal? Well, it hasn't done anything to me yet, so it can't be that bad.
There are huge statistics that say if you stop, though, this is how your health goes up like this. But do you do it?
But you feel, and I think that we've just got so accustomed to how we feel all the time. And I've heard people, and I can say this too, not on a as big a scale as most people that work out all the time or whatever, but there are many people that will say that we as America have gotten so accustomed to how we feel. And it doesn't have to feel that way. And I think that that's a hard thing for people to rewire in their head. Because if you stop eating fast food, if you work out, I'm not saying you need to work out all the time. I don't. But when you work out, your perspective change, your body feels different. Not in a sore way, but like you're more alert. It's kind of like waking up early in the morning instead of sleeping all day, or you have more energy to do things. You see the world differently. Your mental health is better. And it's the same with food. If you put off eating, I'm not saying every day, but if you put off eating fast food and eat a salad or some potatoes, or like it makes you feel different. It makes you feel better. But we focus more on the convenience of, well, yeah, but I gotta make that, or I don't. That doesn't fill me up the same. I've heard people say that too. Well, McDonald's fills me up more than a salad does, so I'm gonna eat that. And we're just so accustomed to always feeling sluggish and always feeling depressed and I don't know if I want to do that. We just think that's just us, that's just who we are, but it has a lot to do with the things that we do in life too. It's the same as having a job you hate. Yes, having a job and making money is a good thing, but it also bleeds into everything about you. If you are at a job that you don't like, you're not going to be happy being there. You're going to come home with already being upset. You're going to bring that into your family, and then it becomes a whole cycle.
Correct.
And it's the same with the food that we bring in. If we're just accepting that, me not having the energy to do anything is just how I am. That's just what it is. Instead of figuring out, and if you don't like it, then you don't like it. But most people don't want to make the effort for whatever reason, whether it's financial, of it's too expensive, or I like eating Burger King, so why would I want to eat anything else or anything like that? And they don't see, they
Makes
don't
me
ever,
happy.
they don't ever get the chance to see that there is another option, or how your body reacts to different things.
I would go back to the whole jar with the rocks and the sand and stuff. So you say, you obviously, but people say, well, I've worked all day. My wife works all day. We got to go through McDonald's so we can spend some time with our kids at home.
Yep.
But then you go home and you sit in front of the TV
Mhm.
and you don't spend time with your kids.
I think there's a
and therefore, and you know, you made a good point too, that hopefully it's a pat on my back, if you will, is I taught my kids how to cook.
Yep.
And if you incorporate that into spending time with your kids,
Mhm.
it'd be better than sitting in front of a TV and ignoring them.
I've said this before, and I am the child of this, and I'm not saying that I don't do this with my own family either, but looking from an outsider perspective, I think that was the biggest, my personal opinion, I think that was the biggest detriment to the family dynamic, was the TV dinner.
Yeah.
I think having something that you can, and I'm not saying that it's not convenient, and I'm not saying that everybody that eats, that has TV dinners or has used them or eats while watching TV with their family are bad people. They're not. I do it with my family all the time.
Hmm?
But I think that there was something, and I wasn't there, so I can't really speak, but looking back on it, I think there was something about that dynamic of watching your parents cook dinner and sitting around the table with plates and forks and knives and having to wash out your own fork and knife when you're done, instead of just throwing something in a trash can. Or I don't know, there's just something to be said about the ritual of it, I guess. And I think the convenience that brought took away from family time. I think here, eat your food, watch TV, for whatever reason or convenience, whether it's, hey, sit here while I do the dishes, or even if it's not a negative thing, I think that took away from that time that the family had to sit down and eat
Dynamic.
together. Yeah, and eat together and talk about, things that happened or whatever.
I think
They really don't get with a TV.
I think somebody had a great idea. Let's use the Swanson people or the banquet people. And so TVs have come into our lives at a certain time in the 60s or whatever, 50s, 60s. And we've learned about advertising on TV. And so
I saw a funny.
I'm sitting here with my table with my Swanson TV, watching the TV advertise my Swanson TV dinner, which I'm gonna want another one tomorrow. Then
I saw a post on Facebook that made me laugh. It was just words, and it said, "When was the last time you saw a microwave ad?" And I was like, that's so sad.
There's another one. When have you ever seen Chinese restaurants advertise?
Yeah. But there was something that, and kind of off the subject of food, but there was something that you did as a parent that, again, kind of what I was kind of talking about, that we had, family dinners. We had both. We had the, sit in the living room and eat and whatever, but then we had, and you started making it more of a thing later, when we probably when we were in high school, more of like a once a week thing. But we had that, everybody sit at the kitchen table and talk, and what was one thing that happened to you today,
Yeah.
and
Best and worst.
yeah. And I think that dynamic of all of us sitting there without a distraction of, even at that time, of a phone or TV or anything that we were able to just sit and just talk for however long it took for people to eat. I feel like that is something that's lost now. And I could be wrong. I'm not in everybody's family household, but I feel like as a whole, we've gotten more focused on other things than just the simplicity of something like that. Of like having, dinner with each other or teaching your kids how to cook and not just be like, yeah, go, it'll be done. It'll be done.
Go
soon.
play in the backyard.
Yeah.
Go chase traffic, where my dad used to say. Go chase traffic for a while.
But like that dynamic, I feel like is somewhat lost.
Yeah, I always tell a story about Amanda when we got that phone call, and that clicked in my head when you said that was a few things that play into that. We were all sitting around the kitchen table eating. We were all saying what was the best part of your day, what was the worst part of your day. And the phone rang. And by the way, the phone was on the wall.
There was, speaking of, so Cheryl went to the hospital the other day and they asked her, do you have a landline? And I laughed in the doctor's office because I was like, I can't remember the last time, one, anybody had a landline, two, anybody called it a landline, and three, that's still a thing.
It is for old people.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm not surprised, but your grandma she got rid of hers.
She just got rid of it.
Yeah, like last year or 2 years ago, something like that. But I tell that story that when it was just the four kids and we were at the kitchen table and we got that phone call from the telephone on the wall, and I talked to, it wasn't Kit, it was somebody else, and hung up the phone and sat down and we discussed it at the kitchen table. And it's funny because I'm so burned into my head that I said, okay, would you want Amanda to come live with us? And everybody was, yes. And I was like, okay, but you have to keep in mind that if I have 100% of my time, that is broken up into four of you, which is 25%. And that now gets broken down to 20%. And I think that went over everybody's head, but which turned out to be totally wrong. It was a lot more for
But there was, well, also you didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but we were sitting around the kitchen table eating, and
I think that's a good, and I credit you to this a lot because I do this with the girls too, is that you made us included in decisions, not just that one, but as a whole, as a family. And that, I don't know if that meant as much to everybody else, but I thought that was cool then, that like, oh, they don't get to, like, I have whether you did what we wanted or not.
Yeah.
But the fact that you even like included us in like simple decisions of like, hey, I'm going grocery shopping. Is there anything that you would want?
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're only able, I mean, you never went like, we only have $100, but like, we're only able to get a limited amount of stuff this time. What are you actually going to eat? Or like things like that, like with Amanda, or where we would go for vacations, or like just shit, like just simple stuff like that you would ask our opinion on, that I appreciate now, but also appreciated then, that it didn't feel, the dynamic wasn't like, I just get what I get and they're my parents. So
I think along that line too, I vaguely remember that I would ask, I know I asked Tiffany, I don't know if I asked you guys, but because Tiffany was starting to cook and stuff, and what do you want to cook? And so she would buy into the fact of, well, how about if get me this and get me this, and she would cook a meal, one meal, but it was what she made up in her head, and then I would go get that. And so that tied her into actually starting to cook and getting everybody, everybody involved. And I don't know. I look at it now, and for your mom and I, it's very we have everything right here, and it's very convenient But the more and more I look at the prices have skyrocketed on fast food. Yeah, I can still go to the grocery store, and I can go to an expensive grocery store and get groceries for us. And again, as long as I manage them so they don't go bad,
Mhm.
and cook for us way cheaper than I can going through a drive-through.
I said this to again.
By the way, quantity is a thing too.
Yeah. Again, convenience wise, but
Mhm.
I said this to Cheryl the other day. I remember before COVID, and I know that a lot of people harp on COVID as the problem for everything.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that, but I won't.
Good.
But before COVID, I remember getting our whole entire family Taco Bell. And
Mhm.
it wasn't like
$25.
it wasn't like the cheap
30 bucks?
family one of like the big thing of tacos.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody individually got a meal, got what they wanted.
$5 meals, you're under $30.
It was about 35
Okay.
ish. 40 on a high end if I got like an extra burrito.
Yep.
40 on a high end. I just went there probably a month ago. The girls weren't home. It
Yeah.
was just me, Cheryl, Wyatt. I got one extra quesadilla than what I normally get,
That's $10 though.
and it was $40.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the shit? Like, what?
Um,
Burger King the same way.
Tiffany, when she came back, she said, "Oh my God, I missed Taco Bell, and it's right there."
Mhm.
And she goes, "Take me through there, and I'll get me and the kids something. Do you want it?" And I don't want anything. We had just eaten. And so she went through, and there are times when I think Tiffany buys way too much too.
Yeah.
But she bought, and I wasn't even listening, but she bought this for her and her kids.
Mhm.
Cha-ching, $65. And I went, what the?
Yeah. But again, in
Sodas, $3 or $4 a soda. Come on.
that's one of the things that
I know we got to pay rent and keep the lights on, but
That's
come on.
That's one of the things that, like, because I buy myself like soda or energy drinks or whatever for
Mhm.
work. That's one of the things that, like, I've noticed now that Cheryl's not working is like how much that has gone up too.
Mhm.
Like, I just and you see the deals too, and you go, oh, that must be cheap. Like they had one like 2 weeks ago that was like 3 monsters for $6.
Hmm?
Now in your head, thinking normal monsters,
Hmm?
you're like, that's a deal. They're
Hmm?
normally like $3 each, 3
Hmm?
for $6.
Hmm?
No, they were the skinny ones. They were the little the skinny
Really?
monsters.
Yeah.
Which if you go by ounces, it's not a deal.
But marketing got you.
You're getting 2 cans.
Yep. Well, I to tell you, and I'm not rich by no means. I live comfortably, I think, but I think, but I still have issues that I buy. 2 things.
A whole cooler of Monster.
I used to buy Monster by the case, 24,
Mhm.
and when I did that, and even off of Amazon, and it'd be here in a day or two. Per ounce. This is how far I dive in. Per ounce, it used to be like $1. No, I can't say that. Per can, it used to be. I could say per ounce. It used to be 8 cents an ounce, I think.
Mhm.
And the math's not going to work. But it used to be like, say, like I got $1.25, $1.33 a can, and
Mhm.
that's a decent, not a big, huge, but
Mhm.
not the skinny. And so I was buying cases and cases and cases when I needed them. And then COVID came, and not blaming that, but all of a sudden, I couldn't find cases anymore. I could only find, I want to say they're 15 packs now, and the per can went from $1, whatever it was, 33 something. Now I'm paying $1.83 for less, and I can't find the cases anymore. And all I keep thinking of is, do you really need this? Because
Damn COVID.
I keep thinking $2 for a can of Monster. Do you really drink fucking water? Okay, that's how I'm looking at it.
But that being said, water is expensive too.
Not here.
Well,
Not tap water when you filter it. That's what I do.
Well,
Yeah, bottle. That's another thing.
bottled water.
I used to
is.
buy Aquafina all the time and drink water because water's better for you. But the powers that be have figured out, hey, this guy is going to buy our water anyways. If we raise it 50 cents a bottle, he's still going to buy it.
Yep.
And there lies in the biggest problem. How much money corporate America actually wants to make off you.
Supply and demand.
Yep, you're still going to buy. And why, if I'm corporate America, why do I care?
It's the same. And luckily,
Why should I care?
I think one of the best decisions that has ever, well, I shouldn't say the best. In my opinion, in my lifetime, I think one of the potential best decisions that has ever been made was giving states the ability to have their own gas prices.
Yeah.
I
Yes
think
and no.
yes and no. Yes, if I choose to have gas be $7 and you have to drive to a different state or different county to get $3, yes, that sucks. But also, there's not that countrywide influx either on that. You can have Joe's gas station that has gas for $1.50, and you can choose to either go there or Quick Trip for $3. And I think that is great. But I think the thought process that corporate America has on gas and on commodities that everybody's going to have and everybody's going to use because they don't know any better is you're going to need gas. The only time we go and nobody has a horse and buggy anymore. Even if they did, nobody would use it because cars are faster. So if I have gas at $5, you're going to pay $5
one way or another. Yes,
you need to get somewhere.
Yep. Unfortunately, you have. I wish it was like you described, but unfortunately, you have
the potential was there.
Yes, but unfortunately, you have things like apps that have Gas Buddy that not only you use, but gas stations use. And if Joe's was at $1.50 and Quick Trip's at $3, Joe's is going to go, well, if they can get $3, I should be able to get $2.75. So now Joe's went from $1.50 to $2.75 because I put more money in my pocket.
And it has,
and you're going to buy it.
It has the potential, and I think somebody is going to figure it out. And I've said this about gas for a long time. Somebody's going to figure it out. Most gas companies or people that own gas stations have that mindset of, we want to make money. We want to make double what we're paying for our gas in most places. Yeah. But somebody's going to figure it out. Somebody is going to figure out that if you go low, you're going to make more money because people are going to consistently come to the lower price where they are for the higher price.
But you're working a lot more now.
Yes, but long term, you're making more money. Because if you're the gas...
Because your quantity.
Yes. And I said this to you when it happened. There was a place, I can't remember where we were. Gas was like $2.50, I think, at the time. Close to $2, $2.50. And there was a place that had 99-cent gas for 24 hours. And it was a line out of the city. Like out of the town. For people to be there. Now, if you do that, you're making double, if not triple, what you normally would on a regular day. People driving by your gas station going, man, I don't really need gas. They see 99 cents, they're stopping, regardless of whether they need it or not. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. I think at some point, somebody's going to figure it out. And then that's going to flip because it's regulated by the state now and not by the country. That it's going to flip. That thought process you just had is going to be Quick Trip going, we're selling it for $3. Joe's selling it for $1.50. We'll put it down to $1.50 right now and get this, and then we'll raise it back up. And it's going to go back and forth.
Good morning. Hi, Bubby.
And it's going to go back and forth like that. And it's going to be better for people that way. But people need to but the powers that be or whatever need to get out of the headspace of, yeah, I know we made triple, but let's make quadruple.
But there's also something that you're not seeing, the evilness behind that too. Two things, first of all.
Supply and demand.
because your supplier could cut you off
Yep.
too. If you hear, my biggest customer is Quick Trip, and Quick Trip is calling me, the supplier, on the phone going, the F, man, what's going on? How can this guy be doing it? Well, I don't know. He's selling it for, but that's not my point is you're supplying him and he's doing it. You need to make this so this doesn't happen
Mhm.
anymore. So then Joe Supplier calls 99-cent guy and says, yeah, I don't have any semis to deliver to you, or I don't have any supply left.
That's fair.
Yeah, and that's how. But what I was going to say is, you said state to state. One of the biggest complaints from Illinois, from people I know in Illinois, is the government.
Governor.
The government down there is like, say, Wisconsin. There's a lot of people that came into Wisconsin to get their gas because gas is, let's say, $3.50 a gallon, and let's say that Illinois is $7 a gallon because they put so many taxes and taxes and taxes on it to fuel this and this and this and this. Well, we can just add it into a fuel tax because we have the right, because it's state.
Mm-hmm.
We have the right to do that. So, but that's not. You're not on the food
Sorry.
thing. You're
Sorry.
still off the food thing
I'm
again.
sorry.
I really wanted to go down and we did. The food as a carcinogen. The food is, it's better to, and here's my problem too. So you think
As loved and lost than to never love at all.
in my head, if I go up to the grocery store, be it Festival or Aldi's or whoever, I'm going to buy fresh green beans there, and I'm going to buy fresh this there, and I'm going to cook my wife a nice salad, make my wife a nice salad, blah, blah, blah. And you think in your head, you go, that's a lot better than going through a drive-through.
Pesticides.
Yeah, and that's where I was going is, okay, you think that, but maybe not, because all the pesticides. And there's a reason, in my notes of why talking about food, there's a reason I said that, is because of what you just said, was you don't see what's in your food, the bad things that are in your food. And that's a big problem too.
And also, there's a problem when people monopolize something that is a necessity. I can have, and I have a lot of friends that have and do own farms.
Mhm.
And there aren't as many as you would think,
Mhm.
because corporations and or people with a lot of money monopolize it and go, so you're going to run my farm. I'll pay you to run my farm, but you're going to do it this way. You're going to use these chemicals. You're going to have these livestock. You're going to have these plants, and you're going to do it this way.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pay you very well to do this.
So that guy's just got a job, basically.
Yeah. And it's not his farm. He doesn't get to make his decision.
Correct.
So then you have these people that are in full control of what we eat.
Yep.
If they choose to use harsh pesticides to make their crop look prettier and be able to preserve it longer and whatever, and they know it's bad, they know it's gonna hurt people, but they don't care because they can say this is all organic and I can sell it for $3 a pound instead of $1.50.
I'm not doing charity work. I'm here to make money.
Yeah. And we don't have a choice. Your green beans, nine times out of 10, your green beans doesn't say was farmed by this person here by whatever. Just a bag of green beans. So you don't know that.
Correct.
And also the contamination and mixture of those things also contaminates Joe's farm that does do all organic and no pesticides and whatever, because I've worked in a grocery store. They don't segregate it. They just take bags of green beans and put them on top of each other and put them with each other with the little sprayer things with the water that takes all of that, contaminates the whole
It's a
thing.
head game that go, this is fresh.
Yeah, whatever. But you as the consumer don't know better because
Correct.
you just go, I just want some green beans because I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to make these decisions. And it's not really the healthier option. Yes.
Correct.
Is it healthier than 6 cheeseburgers? Yes. But overall, are you the healthiest person because you chose those green beans? Probably not.
I might be healthier though.
And that's what you have to settle in yourself, and that's what you have to accept in yourself.
Yeah, so I'm not getting clean.
Is-
There was a. I was going to tell you this too. I can't remember the name of the movie.
The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And that's most people's thought process.
The devil's in the details.
Well, that too. But I was talking about that. That's most people's mindset is I know that Burger King is unhealthy for me, but at least I know what's in it. Whereas like the green bean thing, yeah, that might be healthy for me, but I don't know how bad it is
Yeah.
for me.
There was a movie we watched with Dennis Quaid, and I stumbled upon it. And they live in Iowa. They're farmers in Iowa.
Dennis Quaid. Field of Dreams?
No, they're farmers in Iowa, and again, like you said, I own a plot of land, and somebody dies, and I'm going to buy that plot of land because the more land I have that I can farm, and there is a side story, and there was a guy on one of those farms that was actually running it, and that was his job. And the guy who owned the farm died, and the family sold it to Dennis Quaid, and he made it not really purposely, but made it so that guy running the farm can't make any money anymore, and he almost had to move. Long story, but they were talking. The biggest thing they were talking about was buying seeds, and I'm going to say Monsanto because that's a very bad word, but buying seeds for next crop.
Mm-hmm.
But there was an old guy that could take existing seeds or seeds that were left in the field maybe or something. I didn't quite get the connection, and wash them.
Mhm.
And so now your dollar a seed, I'm making numbers up, is now half that because, it was last year's, but the seed companies got wise to it and investigated and kind of busted the guy, whatever. But it was a really interesting movie to watch, that all the shit that they do that would go into your food.
Mhm.
And again, Monsanto is a really, really bad example of what they do, how they manufacture food or whatever, or seeds or whatever. But I want to believe that cooking dinner for your mom 90% of the time now is much healthier than
I would say overall.
peekaboo.
I would say overall, yes, and that was kind of what I was saying before. I think overall, cooking at home instead of going to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, yes, is overall healthier. I don't think on as big
As she eats her yogurt.
I don't think on as big a scale as the normal American would think. I don't think they're light years apart as far as healthier. But yes, overall, I think it's healthier. I just think that there's also an underlining assumption that just because I pick green beans, that they're all of a sudden way healthier for me than the other ones. And I think that if you...
Who's to say what's way healthier? I mean,
Well,
because you don't know.
Well, the opposite way too. Who's to say that is the bad farmer or the good farmer?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. But I think, like I said before, I think what's the harm in at least trying? What's the difference? I know there's a difference, but what's the difference between your 6 cheeseburgers that you know are bad for you, that you know are 3% meat, and the rest is just shit? What's the difference between that and your salad? Yes, your salad could still have poisonous stuff in it,
Pesticides
and pesticides and shit in it. But if you put them together, what is the real difference in you between the two?
I was going to go there too. So what is your life expectancy going to be? So, and what's worth it to you?
Is your 2 years...
If you were going to live to be 80 eating healthy salads and stuff, but you could only live to be 70 eating cheeseburgers, would you make that choice to continue to eat cheeseburgers? And there's a side story to that too, is because I'm talking to Rod, we were kind of discussing this, and I said, I'm going to tell you this. if you die before me and I'm at your funeral and everybody's standing around, I'm going to say, fuck you, motherfucker. I was right and you were wrong. And he laughed.
I've said that to somebody too. Because she also has been super healthy. And I told her that. I was like, if you fucking... Oh, speaking of side story to that. So I did get to do that to Cheryl, though. So Cheryl, forever since I've met her, has said, you drink way too many energy drinks. You're going to have a kidney stone. It's going to be bad. You need to stop, blah, blah, blah. You want to know what she has?
What?
Kidney stone.
Really?
That hasn't dropped yet.
Ooh.
But when she went to the doctor, they did an ultrasound. And it's in there. It just hasn't dropped yet. And I was like, ha! I fucking told... Who has a kidney stone? Well, you probably have one. Yeah, but I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it.
No, again, that's a whole nother road to go down about genetics. And, you could eat the shittiest foods in the world and...
But I think also your...
And live to 100.
I think also your perspective changes. And again, that goes back to your original point of what's more important to you. If you don't... And I know there are people that
How
are
fun
like,
is it going to be if you don't have fun during your life?
Well, I know that
that's what I like in it.
I know that there are people that are like, well, you should care. But if you don't care, like if you don't care about living to 70, or you don't care that, you're eating unhealthy or whatever, let's say overweight in whatever capacity that is for you. If you don't care about that, then it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Eat whatever you want. Doesn't matter. But I think most people, and it has happened to me, but not like it has to other people. I know people that like have had kids and like all of a sudden they're like, I need to be healthy. I need to live. I need to do this. That's just not me. I'm just not that person. I've always said, one of my favorite quotes is, you treat your body like a temple. I treat mine like an amusement park. It's one of my favorite quotes. But it does change. I will say to that, and I know that this is kind of a separate point from what we were talking about, but I will say that since having Wyatt, my perspective has changed. It hasn't changed in a way of like, I want to eat more healthy. It's changed in a way of like, okay, I do want to see this. Like, I do want to, like, I used to tell, and I still may be right because I've thought this forever, but I've always had the assumption that I was going to die young or young-ish. And I was always okay with that, for the most part, and which allowed me to really not care about a lot of other things. But then when Wyatt was born, I was like, I've been okay with that for even with the girls. Like I've been okay with that for a while. But then now I'm like, you know what? I would like to see like these things. Like I think that our pursuit of living forever is that we have now in America. I don't think we should do that. Honestly, there's no point to live to 100. What are you doing at 100? What's the point of being 100 years old?
Pooping in your diapers and having somebody else clean you up.
People that want to live over 100, that's dumb to me. I'm like, why? But there are things that I would like to live longer for. Like I would like to see, the girls get married or graduate or like things like that. But when they're self-sustaining, I'm not gonna be like, well, I still want to live this, and I still.
It's funny you say that because I clearly remember in my 20s, and although I had just married your mom, and I clearly remember being stupid, saying, "Live fast, die hard," and I could die today.
Leave a pretty close,
and I could die right now. Then you have kids, and it's like you said, I'd like to hang around and see how they grow up. And again, I'll say I'm very proud of all of you because I think for the most part, you're all very happy, and that means a lot to me. But now, and then you kind of go, oh, okay, I could die now and be happy, right? But now it shifts to grandkids, and you go, I'd like to see what they do. And I know that means there's probably not a stoppage because now you could also say, what are great grandkids? But yeah, I'd like to see how my grandkids turn out. I'd really like you kids to stop having kids, but
my point to saying that is But that also shifts your perspective on your lifestyle too, which is what I was getting at with that statement, is that I'm not saying that because I have that, I'm eating healthier or whatever, but it is a thought of it. And I feel like that's why older people start feeding into those diets and keto and all of that stuff, is because their minds, they're like, oh shit, like this isn't sustainable. It's kind of, as this is a really shaky and bad example, but it's kind of like an alcoholic that realizes themselves that, like, oh, I can't keep doing this. Like this isn't sustainable, and like
I can't.
and tries to change it in the same way as I feel like older people are seeing that in the healthy food realm of like, oh, I've seen what eating steak every single day did to my parents, so we need to do this so I can live longer.
It's funny because, as you know, I've always been a big boned individual. And way back when, and I'm going to say 30 years ago, maybe, I was told by doctors,
well, the best blood pressure ever.
You need to, I did, but you need to lose some weight. Okay. Well, how would you suspect I do that? Well, you need more exercise. It was always more exercise. Exercise. And I go, well, at the time, I was, I don't know how much, I was probably 25 pounds lighter. And that was almost 25 years ago. So I've gained 25 pounds in 25 years, which you could go, well, that's not too bad. But
that's a pound.
But I was playing softball 6 nights a week. And so there was a lot of running. There was a lot of exercise going on. And I abruptly stopped that in my 40s when I went, my body's not doing this anymore.
You tripped over a bat?
Pretty much. and
it blew up. You know that I remember that so clearly.
My body's not doing this anymore.
Not really you tripping over the bat and falling, but your leg.
Yeah.
Like it was like black.
Yeah. And so you kind of go, oh, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. And so I think it's a paradigm shift of, okay.
Well, what can I do?
But here's my point. So back then, this 25 years ago, doctors are telling me to exercise. No, dude, I'm playing softball 6 nights. I'm exercising. That's not. But you kind of, well, you're the doctor, you know. Fast forward a little bit to 7 years ago, and I had another doctor say, you need to lose weight. Okay, you got any suggestions? Yeah, cut down on what you eat. Garbage in, garbage out. You know, cut down on the. They didn't say. I think he said the quantity, which leads me back to the Friends with Benefits. You want to lose weight? Quit eating, fatty. That burned into my head. So now, and so I did. I cut down on crappy food, and started eating a little healthier. Not a lot, but a little. It didn't help. Now, fast forward to a few months ago, and I'm in the doctor's office, and I bring it up. He doesn't, and I said, okay, this is how I've looked for most of my life, but I still understand that I need to lose some weight. And he goes, and I brought up, I go, you know, I was told a long time ago, exercise. And he goes, no, you need to get some walking in or something like that, but it's not a big exercise thing. Oh, wait a minute, 25 years ago, doctor, hold that. And I said, okay. And I said, I've tried to start eating healthier. And he goes, that helps. But he goes, for the most part, everybody's talking about now, it's cutting down on your carbs and eating lean meat and vegetables, and don't get into the breads and stuff. And he goes, I guarantee you that'll help you. So we went from exercising to not eating crappy food to now not eating carbs. And I get the whole enriched is a bad word on your bread.
Yeah. I look back to, and again, I know that this is a counterpoint to everything that we've been saying. And I started this off by saying I'm not the best at it, and I would say I'm more hypocritical. I know what the right thing is, but I just don't. For right now, I just really don't care. But I remember, and maybe it's, and I know this is going to sound negative. It's not meant in a negative way, but I've seen my mom be on so many diets throughout my life.
Oh yeah.
Everything twice over you can think of
Hmm?
for 30 years of my life. And yeah, she's had points where she's been skinnier and bigger, but for the most part, over 30 years, for the most part, and probably before that, she's stayed roughly around the same size.
Mm.
And I remember her going on the no bread thing, and she would have burgers with lettuce buns
She
and
does that now.
and things like that, and I just never saw a difference or a change or
Yeah.
anything. It not just physically, but mentally or anything. Like it didn't seem like it did anything. So like when I hear stuff like that, because I've heard a lot of people say that, we'll just cut out bread, and I'm like, okay, if I cut out bread and it doesn't do anything, can I come back to you and be like, okay, now you're gonna pay for all the food that I had to get that didn't have bread in it, that wasn't good, and now I get free food.
I still think that one of the worst things you can do, and I do it, is step on a scale.
Yep.
Because that scale is mentally telling me, oh, I need to quit eating or I need to cut back or something. And your mom's a good example is
Mhm.
she goes by that scale a lot.
Mhm.
And I know because I'm with her. And by the way, I've seen her naked. You can tell if she's gained 10 or 15
Mhm.
pounds, but you can also tell when she lost 10 or 15 pounds. But as you said, for the most part, she's not
Mhm.
this,
Mhm.
but she's kind of the same, roughly within give or take 15 pounds.
Mhm.
But she still steps on that scale to find out, oh my, and I go, you should actually, in my opinion, just try to eat healthy. Just try to eat what you don't overeat. That's another problem.
Yeah.
But more so is, how do you feel?
Mhm. I was just gonna say that. I think people should go more based on how they feel. If you feel, I would like to know what else you're doing, but if you feel great and you can go for a run and you're mentally good and whatever,
Good for you.
eating 16 Big Macs from McDonald's, great.
Yeah.
But I think people need to listen to, I had this, I'd never really noticed until I heard somebody say it. Somebody was talking about their health journey on a podcast I was listening to. And they said something that was just so small that I never thought about. They were like, yeah, I lost 20 pounds, and they were talking about how they did it or whatever. And they're like, where I really felt it was in my legs, that I go back every now and then. I put a 20-pound backpack on like they do in the military.
Yeah.
And you can feel the difference in how you walk and whatever. And I
Yeah.
never really thought about that
Yeah.
until probably like a couple months ago. And I was walking into work and we have concrete floors. And my knee hurt. I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about. And not like lose some weight because your knee, but noticing things about your body and like in really being in tune with your body. And like I said, if you're okay with how you feel and you can do it, whatever, that's fine. There are people that I know, well, not know, but there are people I know of that eat all meat. Steak, everything. That's all the
Protein.
Yeah, the carnivore diet.
Yeah,
that's all they do all the time, and they're great. They feel great. They exercise. They have great mental health, stuff like that. That doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah,
I think you really not only need to understand your body, but have a thought of what you want, because I feel like that's another problem as far as and Mom has that too, where she has a thought of, I just want to be skinny. She doesn't know what that skinny that she wants looks like.
Yeah, unfortunately, she does. She wants to be back at our 10-year renewal of vows when she was 128. And she goes, look how good. I went, no, you look anorexic.
It's not going to happen.
You look very anorexic. And
anyway, well, it could happen, but it's not going to happen that way. but what I'm saying is most people don't have a real concrete idea of what they want. Like people just go, well, I want to be healthy. Okay, what is healthy to you? Well, I don't know. I just want to be healthy. Well, I just want to be skinny. Okay, well, what's skinny to you? Well, I don't know. I just want to be skinny. And I feel like that's a never-ending pursuit, to where if you, going back to what I said in the beginning about mental health and about, you know, the little things first, I feel like that's where everybody wants this big, again, mom's a good example. Everybody wants this big, like, jump.
The magic pill?
Yeah, they want the magic pill. But I think that you need to have little things of like, hey, I just don't want to feel as sluggish every day. Or, hey, I just want to be able to walk down my street without being winded. Or I just want to, you know, little things like that. That isn't a number, isn't a, well, I want to look in the mirror and see this. It's just a overall goal that can be measured.
I think the feel good is what everybody needs to go for, and not the number on the scale
Or the look.
And you know, you were saying about your knee and stuff. I can tell in my stomach, because my stomach will start to contract a little more and go, oh, this, and it feels good actually. That otherwise going like, you know, I'm so bloated, I'm so fat. But yeah, there's my food talk for today.
Your food talk?
Eat healthier.
Yeah. I'm still gonna eat cheeseburgers. Sorry.
And by the way, if you don't have one, crock pots are awesome too.
I have. I'm gonna send it to you. I gotta find it because I sent it to Cheryl. There's a comedian that does a joke about crock pots. He's like, it's the best thing ever for ADHD people. He's like, you're telling me that I just have to forget things? I have to throw it in there and forget it?
Yeah.
People come over and like, these beans are amazing. What did you do? 7 hours on low right before you came here.
Well, I got to tell you 2 stories too. So I like doing crock pots, but I did gumbo. I did Jimmy Buffett's sister has a restaurant, and she said what to do and put it in a crock pot and everything. It sucked. It's like that. It's one of the few things that I've ever made that was like, we're throwing that away.
I know.
But then when Chris and Kelly were here last weekend, I was going to make one of those crock pot breakfast with the hash browns and everything. So I did that. And I put the hash browns in. I cracked 6 eggs. I made it half of what it was. It wasn't in the big crock pot. It was in a smaller crock pot. And I think that might have had something to do with it. So put the hash browns in, eggs, milk, blah, 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 salt, pepper, blah, blah, blah. I had cooked bacon and sausage. That was really, really good. I threw that in there. And then I threw, it said 2 8-ounce packages of cheese, 1 cheddar, Colby Jack, whatever, and then 1 mozzarella. So I did that. And it was really full, but the lid still fit. 8 hours, right? On low. So I went to bed at 10 o'clock. And I woke up at 6. So there's your 8 hours. Come downstairs, and I'm not lying. It looked like a big chocolate muffin. Dark chocolate muffin. And I'm like, so I took the spoon and I scooped, and the cheese was now burnt spongy. And I told your mom, I go, down below the hash browns are still, I tasted, those are pretty good. But I said, yeah, this is going to be, and I said, oh, wait a minute. Remember those commercials we see all the time about Fresh Pet? We could feed this to Jackson. And so that's what she's been doing. He loves it. And I said, well, he probably loves it because it's got the bacon and the sausage mixed in and everything. But a dark chocolate muffin is what it looks like. I was so disappointed. So there's your happy food stories for today.
Thanks.
Eat healthier.
Yeah. I think things like this. I'll close with this because I was going to tell you this when I called you. I think things like today, not just like talking to you or whatever, but what I chose to do today. I went to sleep late because Wyatt went to sleep late, and I woke up and I couldn't sleep. And so instead of sitting at home being like, well, just sit and watch TV for 4 hours until somebody wakes
yeah.
up. I was like, I'm gonna go do something. And so I went and got gas. That's why I came over here. And then I asked you if you wanted to do this. I think going back to what I said in the beginning, I think pushing yourself to do things creates not only better opportunities, but creates a mindset of like, okay, we don't have to sit here. Like we can get things done. We
Yep.
can do
It's
things.
the whole laziness and it's the whole jar with the.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Joe Rogan says this all the time. For those of you that listen to Joe, because I do.
Some people do.
I don't like listen to him as far as like do what he says, but no, but he says this all the time. Is that's what got him like actively working out like every day and doing like the cold plunge and shit every
Mhm.
day. Is that he has a voice in his head like everybody, and he you could probably look up this clip. It's like 5 minutes, but he's like he has a voice in his head that everybody does of like, no, I want to go back to bed, I'm tired, whatever. And he's like, I over time I just trained the other voice in my head to be like, shut up, you fucking pussy, we're getting up today. And he's like, and now I don't even hear the other side.
It's just a
He's like-
habit now.
He's like, now when I wake up, it's like, get up, motherfucker, we're getting in the cold plunge today.
Yep,
like every single day. And that's kind of what I was saying about that is I feel like if you push yourself to be like, you know, I could sit at home on the couch waiting for somebody to wake up, or I could just at least go do something.
Yeah. Your mom yells at me because I have an internal clock that wakes me up somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30 every day.
I have that when I drink.
Come on, stay in bed. Just let's lay in bed and watch a movie. I can't. I have to get up. I have to do something. It's a habit now.
Cheryl hates it. And don't get me wrong. There are times like yesterday where I slept for like 16 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
My wife would say, your body probably needed
okay,
it.
but in my defense, I got woken up 4 times,
Mm.
and I don't do that. That's what causes me to sleep longer. Is if I don't get consistent. Like if I sleep for 4 hours consistently, I'm fine.
Mm.
It's when I sleep for 2, you wake me up, I go back to sleep, you wake me up, I
Yeah,
go back to
yeah.
sleep. Then I end up sleeping 16 because anyway. But Cheryl hates that all the time. There'll be times that I'll come home from work and I'll lay there in bed and like everybody's comfortable laying down, and I just can't go to sleep. And so I'll lay there until I get home at 7. I'll lay there until about 10. Wyatt doesn't wake up until noon. And so I'll be like, I can't sleep. I'm going to get up. And she's like, but because then she knows that if I stay up, I'm going to sleep later.
Yeah.
But again, there are times that like today or even last week where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. It's the little things, I think.
To bring this all back around, then you know what you need to do? You need to make yourself a garden.
Oh, that was one of my points though for your whole food thing. Is that I feel like like I said, the monopolizing of farms in general, but I feel like that was a cornerstone for families that helped out with that part of it.
Yeah.
Is that I shouldn't say every, but most white picket fence housewives had their own little garden that they had and whatever, and it was their tomatoes or theirs that they made food with and whatever. And I feel like that played in to the health of the family, is because she knew what she put in those. She knew how healthy
True.
those were.
True.
And it wasn't well, let's trust this thing.
But again, I'll go back to you bought your seeds from who?
Yeah.
You know, and were they coated in something? And how do you know? But whatever. You do the best you can. It's kind of like parenting. You do the best you can.
I'm a little upset that we didn't talk about freedom.
Sorry. Maybe that'll be next
I
time.
had my whole. Oh, so I am going to put this out though tomorrow. I am going to put this out, but however, I posted this. It's the first 4th of July without Toby Keith.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
It's the first day that it's the first American holiday without Toby Keith.
Yeah,
and I was talking to Cheryl about this the other day. You don't realize how much Toby Keith is embedded
Is America.
is embedded in America until
yeah.
you go through like his catalog and you're like, shit.
Still goes through another how short life is, and you never know.
But that being
He
said,
probably ate bad food.
but that being said, though, Toby Keith has one of the biggest American anthems in all of American history.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah,
There you
thanks
go.
for talking.
Sure.